How do we approach the sunset of a loved one's life? Do we treat it like a taboo topic, not wishing to discuss it until we're on death's doorstep? Or do we approach it head on, with our eyes wide to the inevitability of it all? Filmmaker Kirsten Johnson doesn't wait idly by for death to come knocking at her father's door. No, she flings the door wide open. She confronts it. She gets in its face, maybe even gets in its way. It's not an acceptance of death, it's a defiance of death. In 2016, Kirsten Johnson made Camera Person, a professional and personal memoir seen through the lens of all the cameras she's held over the years. It was the single best film I saw that year. Now, 4 years later, she's done it again with Dick Johnson is Dead. In the opening scene, Kirsten succinctly explains the impetus for this documentary.
Just the idea that I might ever lose this man is too much to bear. He's my dad. But now it's upon us. The beginning of his disappearance. And we're not accepting it. He's a psychiatrist. I'm a camera person. I suggested we make a movie about him dying. He said yes.
The film chronicles her father's retirement in Seattle and subsequent relocation to New York, where he moves into her one-bedroom apartment. It spans months and years as his dementia slowly yet steadily worsens. Keen to capture her father while he's still here, in both body and mind, Kirsten distills her father's virtues, even his very essence, all while entertaining some of the ways he's likely or unlikely to go.
Don't float!
Okay, 3, 2, 1, drop.
Oh no, that's me!
And while that last part might come across as perverse, I'd argue it's a perfect fixture for the subject matter, supported by their respective professions of psychiatry and cinematography. The result is a marvelous marriage of mental health and movie making.
Wow, that was me, that hurt.
Ouch!
There's plenty of evidence, both anecdotal and scientific, that horror movies can help people cope with life's anxieties. More recently, a study found that horror fans and quote-unquote morbidly curious individuals are more psychologically resilient during our ongoing pandemic. If audiences are able to benefit from the gruesome, imagine the impact on filmmakers and actors making something with their creativity, especially when it relates to their own lives. It's here that Dick Johnson is Dead reminds me of Joshua Oppenheimer's masterful documentary, The Act of Killing, in which he meets with former Indonesian death squad leaders, men who carried out the genocide of hundreds of thousands of people. It's unthinkable, and yet he somehow convinces them to reenact their mass killings in a variety of cinematic genres. It's a challenging film, a wildly progressive film that strikes one profundity after another, including how filmmaking can be a form of exercising one's own demons and both a therapy and a coping mechanism. On a much smaller scale, Dick Johnson is Dead manages to make medicine with these scenes. Beyond this emotional boon, there's a deeper, more personal reason for Kirsten's theater of the macabre. This is someone who watched their own mother endure a 7-year battle with Alzheimer's.
Your name is Johnson?
My name's Johnson. What's my first name?
She watched her mother regress to a point where she could no longer recognize her own flesh and blood.
I'll give you a hint. I'm your daughter.
You can see how a sudden death, as tragic and horrible as it is, might actually be easier to bear. But is it better to slowly disappear? While none of us would choose to see a loved one reach the point where they can no longer recognize us, our time together is our most valuable resource, and it stands to reason how one might want to spend every last drop of it together. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The dramatizations found within Dick Johnson is Dead are not entirely a compilation in the vein of Faces of Death or Dumb Ways to Die. Kirsten also finds cause to depict heaven, liberally interpreting her parents' Seventh-day Adventist belief in what comes after we die. These scenes are jubilant, celebratory, even triumphant, and bring a much welcome and much needed levity to the admittedly morose subject matter. The film certainly blurs the lines between fiction and nonfiction, which emits a genuine question from her father.
Well, why do you become a documentarian? Why not just make fiction films where the big bucks are?
Real life is often much more fascinating than what you can make up.
For all its creativity and artifice, it's in the real life that Dick Johnson Is Dead dwells and excels. Most of this creative document is a loving testament of one man's life and his impact on those around him, especially the father-daughter relationship front and center. Speaking of the front, Kirsten Johnson has long been a faceless and voiceless filmmaker behind the camera, but here she passes the threshold. Even when she's still holding the camera, the cinematography takes a back seat when necessary. Like this moment as she moves in to embrace her father.
You can include this in the movie. I don't know, not very well.
Dick Johnson's cognitive decline comes in a series of checkpoints. One such instance sees Dick's last drive in his car, which they sell before his move to New York. It's devastating as we watch him digest this, the adverse of a 16-year-old kid being given the car keys for the very first time.
It's your independence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As heartbreaking as it is to watch someone become less and less the person they know and love, the film remains defiant of death and a celebration of life. Kirsten has said she doesn't want to control anything, which is an admirable attribute in any person, but a crucial mindset for any documentarian.
Classic.
Conversely, the film initially seems to be about controlling the uncontrollable, getting in the driver's seat of the vehicle of mortality, playing God even. Through editing, filmmakers are not only able to manipulate time, they manage to preserve and protect it. I cannot recommend Dick Johnson Is Dead enough. You'll probably laugh, maybe you'll cry, but more importantly, I bet you'll be edified. The very best films inspire. They put us in a position to become a better person, or at the very least, to be a better person to those around us, and I'm not sure there's a distinction between the two. I find films that grapple this intimately with loss put me in a spirit of gratitude for what I have while I have it.
It would be so easy if loving only gave us the beautiful. But what loving demands is that we face the fear of losing each other. That when it gets messy, we hold each other close. And when we can, we defiantly celebrate our brief moments of joy.
During the documentary, it becomes clear that Dick Johnson isn't doing all of this because he wants to make a film. He's doing it because he wants to spend time with his daughter. Of course, Kirsten Johnson's film is so much more than these enactments of death. It's a memory book. By making something like Dick Johnson Is Dead, she ensures that somehow, somewhere, some way, that Dick Johnson never dies. What more could a loving child of a loving parent wish for? Dick Johnson Is Dead is now streaming on Netflix. Have you seen the film? If so, what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you down there. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Cineflect for video essays, film lists, and more. And click that bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified anytime I upload a new video. For Cineflect, I'm J.S. Lewis. Until next time, watch something good.